attention. Welcome to our final chapel meeting of the winter term. As you know, we will depart for break at the end of this week. I want to congratulate you on an excellent winter term. Your hard work and commitment to success and your commitment to our community are very evident. Congratulations to everyone involved with the dance show last week's art shows as well, and all of our winter athletic teams. In particular, congratulations goes to our boys alpine ski team, which was undefeated in league races. They won the Brigham Ski League Championship last Wednesday. I also want to thank everyone for a 2,200 kilowatt reduction in our campus energy use during last week's energy reduction contest. Stacy will post the details and winners in the coming days, but in recognition of the effort, we will get an ice cream truck here on campus for you one day this spring. You likely know our girls varsity basketball team has a home NEPSAC tournament game on Wednesday against St. George's. I hope as many of you as possible will head to Kinney Court to cheer them on. We will communicate the time for that game later today. Please be focused on meeting your many commitments this week and finishing the term strong, and enjoy your March break, but be safe and wise in your decision making. We are very hopeful that the spring term will bring the most traditional routine we've had on campus since 2019, and a return to all of our routines, including sit-down lunch for our students and faculty. Cole will be our first speaker today, and Tessa will bring the event to a close. Cole.
Hi Suffield, my name is Cole Van Devanter. I'm a four-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut, and as some of you may know, I tried out for the varsity soccer team this fall. Despite my soccer history at Suffield consisting of 1 year at the intramural level, Mr. Warren was kind enough to allow me to attend this year's preseason, and I had a blast. I made a lot of new friends, I learned a ton of new skills, and I made a bunch of unforgettable memories. Like when Jackson and I threw up chocolate milk after running sprints on Bell Hill, or having to go to the emergency room to get stitches in my face after a 13-year-old Keegan Milne sent me to the ground during a scrimmage. Unfortunately, at the end of the week, I was sent to the JV team due to my preseason performance. And I was a little disappointed at first, but I ended up having a blast with the JV boys. I'd like to take this opportunity today to share a story with you all from this season. It was a rainy, late September day in Pomfret, Connecticut. I was not in the mood to play soccer. Aside from the torrential conditions, the JV team was coming off a demoralizing 8-0 defeat from the Deerfield squad. And to top it off, my closest friend of the team, Harrison, had just quit, and I was ready to follow suit. I was, however, captain of the team and felt that I had to stick it out for at least one more game, so I decided to lace up the boots for that fateful day in Pomfret. The second the game began, everyone knew that it was going to be a close game. You could just feel it in the air. Pomfret got off to a hot start, firing off 2 quick goals within the first 20 minutes. But we eventually woke up, bringing some physicality and class to the match, and getting the score back to a reasonable 2-1 by halftime. After a halftime speech from Coach Van Dam that would make the Lincoln's Gettysburg Address look like a freshman leadership project, the boys were ready for the second half of battle. The second half commenced as the rain began to pick up, turning the field into a sheet of mud, adding a further level of physicality to the game. After a scrum in the midfield, Pomfret fired another shot into the back of the net, but we returned with a quick goal, bringing the match to 2-3, with a good chunk of the second half left to play. The back and forth manner of the game continued, with a hard-fought stalemate defining the rest of the competition. Countless attempts at the Pomfret goal were thwarted by their keeper, but as the clock wound down, our fight remained unwavering. With exactly 12 seconds left on the clock, we were awarded a free kick about 30 yards from the goal. The clock stopped. Joseph Jones stood over the ball, while everyone else piled into the 18-yard box for one last chance at tying the match. Joe struck the ball with magnificence and grace, curling the ball over the keeper's head, not even giving him a chance to make a play on the ball. The team erupted. You would have thought that we just won the Champions League and not drawn a mid-season JV game. Everyone was sliding through the mud and cheering as time expired. but our ecstasy was short-lived. After a brief conference from the refs, they decided to disallow our goal due to interference. You could see the steam coming out of Coach Van Dam's ears as the clock wound down to 0, with the 3-2 final score looming overhead. I remember driving back to campus after the game, soaking wet and pretty frustrated as we did everything we could, but it still wasn't enough. After a while though, I kind of stopped caring about the result in the win-loss column, and I could only focus on how much fun I had playing a sport that I kind of sucked at with a group of guys who I barely knew. And I know it's cliche, but I think that's what's great about Suffield, because win, lose, or draw, the sense of community that's been established here allows for growth and success in all aspects of our lives. Thank you.
This past December, I attended the Army-Navy football game at MetLife Stadium as part of my hopes of becoming a future member of the Service Academy community. Labeled as America's game and regarded as one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports, the game lived up to all the expectations I had and more. To make things even better, Navy held on to beat Army 17-13 thanks to some so-called unintentional trickery on a fake punt and some big defensive stops down the stretch. Ultimately, Navy's record against Army moved to 16-4 over the past 20 years. However, as great as the football game is, it is just a fraction of what the entire game experience represents. And I'm not just talking about the visual spectacle, with the teams running out to the F-18 Super Hornets and the Chinook and Apache helicopters, and the immense slew of pre-game festivities. I'm talking about the showing of togetherness and brotherhood between the two teams, and the support the game gets from all across the world. And above all, the Army-Navy game shows how your biggest rival can also be your best friend. While playing the game, they don't want to just beat each other. They want to beat each other so bad that they send the other team home regretting their entire existence. They are rivals in every aspect on the playing field. People around the world are picking sides. There is no such thing as rooting for both teams. Only the president has that special privilege. Winning and singing second brings out the highest of the highs in emotions, while losing brings out the lowest of the lows. But when the time on the clock expires, and especially once the cleats are hung up for good, there is a respect and bond between the two academies that is truly unmatched. They understand that ultimately they will be relying on each other for their success and for their survival, and will have each other's back no matter what tries to stand in their way. With my current college plans, war will be a part of my future. I was not forced into it in any way. I chose it to be. Yet what people don't understand is why. And let me tell you, it has everything to do with us. The people who stand with me today, the people who have stood with me in the past, and the people who will stand with me in the future. Because my motives do not lie with me. They lie with us, our community, and our world. I want my kids to be able to grow up in a world that isn't blinded by hate or violence or divide. We need a world that embodies the values that come out of the Army-Navy game. A world that embraces competition, of course, but also a world that understands that ultimately we all need each other. It is up to us, our generation, to decide what direction we want to go in. We live in a world where mediocrity is too often rewarded. We live in a world that is divided, one that judges you and determines your worth based on your political party or what you stand for. And therefore, I challenge all of us not just to manage our expectations, but to exceed them, to defy mediocrity, and through hard work, determination, and commitment, we will create the change that we need to see. As my favorite quote from former University of Tennessee football player Inky Johnson says, "Commitment is staying true to what you said you were going to do, long after the mood you had set it in has left. Remember, stay true to what you commit your life to. And always, always remember that everything we desire in life is on the other side of hardship, sacrifice, and hard work." Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sophia Molander, and I'm a four-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut.
My name is Manoush Paju, and I am a four-year senior from Westfield, Massachusetts. If you don't know, we have been matching our outfits to a theme of the day for over a year.
Junior year was hard, there's no point in denying it. A lot of our friends did online school, so we couldn't see them often, and everyone's spirits were down. Mental health issues were leaving us more drained than ever, especially with the additional looming threat of college applications.
In the beginning of junior year, we decided to take pictures of ourselves every day during lunch to look back on and reminisce about. It was a fun way to keep our mental health positive. One day, we coincidentally color-coordinated our outfits.
and just for laughs, decided we should pick some obscure themes on certain school days and take pictures in our outfits.
I had separately decided that I would take these pictures and edit them to look like a kindergartner's scrapbook. And at the end of winter term last year, I printed them out and gave them to Sophia and have continued to do so in increments.
It was one of the sweetest things I've ever received from Manoush.
But over time, the themes never stopped. Junior year ended, senior year began, we applied to colleges, and we are still coordinating our outfits. Every day, people ask us what our theme is. Shout out to Aurora for always trying to guess the theme, and sometimes being more invested than we are.
We have done all kinds of themes. Paisley, Emperor's New Groove, Pirate, Muddy River, Mothman, you know, the normal things. We've even done a Mad Lib style theme. We're asked around the dinner table for a noun and an adjective. And the winner of a rock, paper, scissors tournament gets to pick the words. That's how the theme Tiny McDonald's was born. Safe to say that was the end of the Mad Libs era.
Since the unfortunate Mad Libs incident, you may be wondering, how do we come up with our themes? Well, we draw inspiration from the things around us, pieces of our identity, such as our coffee order or our specific favorite book. Maybe it's a bit more artsy, like when we made DIY clay earrings with Mrs. Graham. We even make themes perhaps to last an entire week, such as our planet saga and our astrology charts. It may even be based on a current interest, like something such as Gothic architecture or funky socks.
However, the best themes we come up with are the goofy, silly ones. The ones that bring a smile to our face when anyone asks us what the theme is. Because we know just how ridiculous the theme is, and the reaction we get from revealing it is quite entertaining. Some of these goofier themes include, but are not limited to, Fuzzy Caterpillar Goes to Job Interview, our scary alter egos,
Helga,
and Marge, and a personal favorite, Emu and Doug from the Liberty Mutual commercials.
If you want to see some of our themes in their fully completed forms, we have taken the creative liberty to make you a website. It has a master list of every theme we have ever done and features some of our favorite edits. The link will be in all school messages after chapel, so please check it out and feel free to come up to us and ask us what our themes are on a daily basis. If you have an idea for a theme, feel free to suggest it. And since you're all wondering, today's theme is Graham Cracker in honor of the Grahams, our advisors.
We both like to take this time to acknowledge the people that make it worth our wild themes. I don't think there is any more appropriate way than to start by thanking Aurora. She always tries her hardest to guess the theme, and every day it's a little closer to not being right. A for effort, though. Big shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Graham for always encouraging us to put our happiness first, and a personal thank you to Mrs. Graham for always being in the Art Center and making it feel like a warm and welcoming place. Manoush and I really do enjoy a good moping session on your classroom floor, so thank you.
My personal acknowledgements are going to make a lot of you very upset, and I don't care. Thank you to the Leo Sun, Sag Moon, for teaching me what it means to be a good person. Thank you to the Libra Sun, Capricorn Moon, for showing and teaching me that there's more to someone than their grades. Thank you to the Pisces Sun, Leo Moon, for teaching me that I don't have to be ashamed to be myself. To the Cancer Sun, Leo Moon, thank you for the weekend adventures, nightly tea time, and sleepovers full of giggles. To the Virgo Sun, Cancer Moon, thank you for keeping track of all of my things. And to the man whose chart we will literally never know, thank you for making me cry about my math homework at the kitchen table. I didn't write this part down, so if I forget you, I'm sorry. But a very quick thank you to Mr. Godin, Mr. Brissett, Mr. Healy, Mrs. Pence, Miss Booth, and Miss Nommons for proving that I am worth it. Cheers to my parents for giving me such incredible genes. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley. I'm a four-year senior from Southwick, Massachusetts, and I love Olive Garden. This year, my friends and I started a little bit of a tradition with Olive Garden, and we go at any chance we can get. We probably went at least 50 times during fall term alone, and I think we went almost every night of finance week. So yeah, you get the point. Olive Garden holds a pretty big piece of my heart. And for my senior speech, I wanted to share with you all one of my favorite Olive Garden stories with two of my best friends, Manoush and Cara. So here we go. A maid, a witch, and a dog walk into a cheesecake factory. Our original plan was to go out to a nice place to eat and then get back to school in time for an event that the school was hosting. But it's 7 p.m. on a Saturday, so Cheesecake Factory was full and we get sent out the door pretty quickly. Now out on the sidewalk on a cold, rainy October night, the three of us decide that we did not make the hike all the way down to West Hartford for nothing, so we get walking. We make 2 laps around West Hartford dressed up in our Halloween costumes, walking into almost every single restaurant that we can find, with all of them telling us that there are no seats available and the wait will be at least 90 minutes. Finally, as we're stopped at a crosswalk, Manoush asks, why don't we just go to Olive Garden? Because for some reason, none of us thought of it. So we Googled the nearest Olive Garden and find out that it's only 10 minutes away with available seating. Thank God. We head back to the car and drive to Olive Garden. We are welcomed with smiling faces and the employees telling us about how much they love our costumes as they seat us down in the middle of the restaurant. It was a little humiliating considering that I was literally wearing wolf ears and a tail, but that's fine. Our waitress comes over and immediately admits to us that she had just been caught ingesting illegal substances in the parking lot during her break. We ordered 3 waters, some salad and breadsticks, which were served raw, and 1 bowl of fettuccine Alfredo for the table, which wasn't served to us for 30 minutes until our intoxicated waitress walks back to the table and asks us, "You haven't gotten your food yet?" To which we reply, "No," and she disappears again in the opposite direction of the kitchen. 10 minutes later, we finally get our food, and our waitress actually takes the empty seat at our table to talk to us while we eat. She tells us about how she has 3 kids at home, and she even offers us some of her illegal substances, which we politely decline. For dessert, I ordered the chocolate brownie lasagna, which they're unfortunately out of, so instead we just ask for the check. Another 10 minutes go by waiting for the check, and when our waitress suddenly comes back with a slice of the chocolate brownie lasagna, telling us that she just found it somewhere and took it. And for those of you wondering, yes, I did eat it. We pay the check and head back to the car. I make 3 wrong turns trying to get back to school in time for that event, but when we make it to school, we are met with the harsh reality that we completely missed the event, and the even harsher reality that we had been walking around in our costumes all day and it wasn't even a Halloween. But we all agreed that the evening wasn't a complete failure because we still had fun at our favorite restaurant, despite everything else that happened. Before I finish this speech, I want to give a quick shout out to everyone that I've ever been to Olive Garden with. And I want to encourage the rest of you to get some of your friends together and go out to Olive Garden, because the chances are it will make some pretty crazy memories. Thank you.
Hi, Suffield. I'm Hope Sapatelli. I'm a 4-year senior from Suffield, Connecticut. Yep, Suffield. My whole life, I live right down the street, actually. I could literally not live any closer without being a boarder. And I'm sure you've all realized by now that Suffield is not the most exciting place to live. I'm pretty sure there are more cows than people. In all seriousness, it's not that bad, but when you grow up in a small town like this, it's not hard to imagine all the other places you could be. I've always loved this idea of traveling the world. Traveling takes you out of your comfort zone, it inspires you to try new things, learn about different cultures, and explore new surroundings. Unfortunately, I haven't made it very far yet, having only been out of the country once on an 8th grade school trip to Quebec, but I have a lot of plans to do so in the future. So for my speech today, I decided to take you guys through a list of my top 5 dream trips I would like to take. So yeah, if COVID didn't exist and I had endless money, here's where I would go, in no particular order. First is Australia. I'll start with the destination furthest away from Suffield. I've always been fascinated by the ocean and drawn to it in different locations, Maine, Cape Cod, South Carolina, Florida, but I'm ready to fly to the opposite side of the world and see the largest island on the planet. I would specifically want to go to the Great Barrier Reef, where I could scuba dive and explore all of the sea creatures and life I've only seen in pictures. As someone who is concerned about global warming and climate change, I also want to see firsthand the damage that is being done there and help think of ways to motivate the world to make change. I'd also love to experience the tropical rainforest and red desert outback, maybe meet a kangaroo or 2. Second is Greece. In our family, we like to watch movies over and over again. One of our all-time favorites is Mamma Mia. Not only is the ABBA music undeniably fun, the scenery on the island of Calicari looks like the place for me. Not only could I relive my favorite movie scenes, I could try sailing and exploring the Mediterranean villages. I would also like to see the more popular sites like the Acropolis in Athens and Mount Olympus. I mean, don't we all deserve a trip after being forced to read the Odyssey? Third is Yucatan, Mexico, specifically to swim in the cenote located there. If you don't know, a cenote is a natural deep water pool made from a sinkhole. Pretty sure I just saw a YouTube video about this place years ago and I never got it out of my mind that I had to go there. I wish I could show you pictures because it's really cool looking. It basically just looks like a giant hole in the earth, and about 20 meters down it is filled with the clearest blue water and vines hang down from the top. It's close by to the Chichen Itza Mayan ruins. I can't pronounce its actual name, but in the Mayan language it means the place of the winds. Here you can float and escape the chaos of the world. This is a place I feel like I have to visit once because it is unlike anything I've ever seen before. Fourth is Iceland. Sticking with the theme of water, but more on the frozen kind, Iceland is the fourth destination on my list. Iceland is like nowhere I have ever been. My interest in visiting sparked from my desire to see the northern lights. There's something so magical about them, not to mention the Blue Lagoon, volcanoes, hot springs, glaciers, and ice caves. For me, seeing the land of fire and ice is a must-do. My fifth and final destination is Italy. Well, with the last name like Sabatelli, I just have to go there, right? My family comes from the Abruzzo region of Italy, otherwise known as the Green region of Europe. It is mountainous landscape and is covered largely by national parks and nature reserves. But with my time in Italy, I would of course want to explore my favorite part of my Italian heritage, the food. I think I might just do a food tour of the whole country. Naples for pizza, Bologna for pasta. But other than my love of food, I have an appreciation for art and history. The next stop on my trip would have to be Rome, as the Colosseum, the Vatican, the Sistine Chapel. I think those are places you have to see at least once in your life. If we're talking about art, I can't miss Florence and Rome. I mean, the list goes on and on. But anyways, that was my current top 5. The list often changes, sometimes day to day. I am ready for my next adventure, but I do appreciate the solid footing I gained here and at Suffield. This will always be my home base, but the world awaits me. And so if you see me, I would like to hear all of your lists too, maybe gain some inspiration. But that's it. Thank you.
Hello Suffield, my name is Fedor Vlasov and I'm a 4-year senior from Moscow, Russia. I read a fine, lighthearted chapel speech before the war began in Ukraine and felt the need to address what's going on, so I'll get to that part of my speech in just a second. As a Russian person, no one in my family or community wanted this. I'm truly just surprised about this conflict as you are, and I hope it comes to a quick and peaceful resolution. I want to continue to study in the US, and if I can't, I fear that my life will be changed forever. At this point, I don't know if my Russian debit card and bank account are going to be shut off while I'm here, or if I might be asked to leave the country. Changing topics. When I was in elementary school, I kind of told a lot of white lies. My classmates would ask me about my weekend, and I would tell them I wrestled a shark and won. Let me tell you, some of them actually got it. But as I got older, I eased up with the lying because it's honestly cringy. But when I first came to America, I was 14, and I went to a summer camp called Sea Camp in Miami, Florida. And when people found out I was from Russia, they started asking questions about my country, and I couldn't resist the urge to stretch the truth just a little bit. One guy asked me how often I see bears on the street of Moscow, to which I replied that I see them at least twice a day. At the time I thought I was just joking with these kids at the summer camp, but then I realized that the bear and some of the other questions, specifically about the clear adult Russian beverage that's really popular in my country, were stereotypes. This took me in sophomore leadership of Miss Warren when we watched a TED Talk by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Chimamanda is an African woman who did a TED Talk that's called The Danger of a Single Story. In her speech, Chimamanda tells a story how she went to college in the US and everyone was asking her questions like, do you live in a hut? Chimamanda also talked about how the US turned out nothing like she thought it would be. Chimamanda's point is that what we heard somewhere about a country will always be living. So Chimamanda's point is that it's really important to get the proper information and not get fooled by the stereotypes. And this works for everything, not only countries. With that being said, America, I really have tried to defy the stereotype of you guys all eating fried food, but I still really think that's all you guys eat. Thank you, Sutton, for broadening my perspectives on things like stereotypes and a lot more. I love my culture, and it's really frustrating that it's being cast in such a dark light because of one man. Living in a democracy has really opened my eyes about so much. I just hope my Russian identity is not tainted by this invasion. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Hey Suffield, I'm Tessa Hike, a 4-year student from Westfield, Massachusetts. I just wanted to give a quick thanks to my parents, my teachers, and to everyone who has supported my time at Suffield. Special shout out to my squad, you guys know who you are, and life here wouldn't be the same without you. Due to popular request, I thought I'd share some stories from my summer job. There are a couple interesting life lessons I've learned, and I hope you'll enjoy them too. So last summer, I was bored, I was broke. And with the very strong encouragement of my parents and the promise of much needed money, I went out in hopes of finding a good job. And anyone who's ever looked for a summer job knows that if you start mid-June, it's not going to work out. So I was late to the game, and my options were limited. So even though I hated coffee and the idea of getting up at 6 a.m. in the middle of the summer, I took my chances and got a job at Dunkin'. I was only in my second week when the first disaster struck. I had been tasked with bringing a huge jug of iced coffee from the back room. And I managed to get to the front of the store, but I had to put it up on a raised shelf. And I had just gotten it up there, and it started to tip. And normally I'd say waterfalls are pretty cool. This one, not so much. It went all over me. Everything in a 5-foot radius. Me, the counter, the fridge, everything. My boss was furious. My second week, reminder. And the little bathroom dryer did absolutely nothing to help my white t-shirt. So I had no other option but to continue on with my day, soaked in coffee, getting interesting looks from people. And it's not that uncommon to get happy customers either. One of my favorites is the guy that tried to convince me that he absolutely needed another latte because the first one he got was disgusting. He holds up his empty cup and tells me it was terrible. And I'm like, dude, I can't give you another one if that's not valid. Anyways, most of the people I knew were pretty cool. We had one guy who came through every day with his miniature dachshund, Moxie. And he always had a smile and something nice to say, and we loved him and Moxie. And one day he pulls up to the window, and there was a cement barrier. He crashes his car right into it, 2 feet in front of me. He looks up at me, smiles, and just goes, oops! It really made me realize that there are a lot more important things than a car, and he was just the sweetest guy. And I've seen a lot of interesting things, but one of the weirdest things was in late August. Everything perfectly normal. We were understaffed, everybody was running around, my boss was yelling, normal. And I was working the window, waiting for people to go through, and a woman pulls up. And she could not get her credit cards to work. She tried 3 or 4, and she seemed kind of nervous, but I brushed it off. A lot of people have issues. A couple cars later, a blacked out SUV pulls up. A very angry guy is glaring through the window at me. Hand him his order, he looks at me, he goes, what was she doing? What were her cards? How did she seem? And I kind of just gave him an answer and rolled it off and kept going. And as he pulled away, I saw the logo on the plates. So if anyone asks, yes, I have been interrogated by the FBI. I learned a few life lessons from my time at Dunkin'. 1, don't take yourself too seriously, but don't take anybody else too seriously. 2, you never know when the FBI is a couple cars behind you. And finally, things aren't always as they seem. There is, in fact, no peanuts in the peanut butter cup macchiato. You didn't hear it from me. All in all, it was a unique experience. I wouldn't do it again. I hope you all have better luck than I had finding a summer job, and please be nice to the Dunkin' workers. They've had a way worse. Thank you.